Okay, so peace and blessings, everyone. I'm live on YouTube. Trying to catch the stream so I can make sure everything is good. Peace and blessings, everybody. Basically, what we're gonna be going over today is this Zimbabwe ditches the American dollar and shifts to gold. I ain't gonna lie, the title is kind of overblown. They shouldn't have said the title of this article like that. It's kind of we lagging. It's kind of misconceiving or something like that. I think that's the word for it, or misleading. But it just goes to show the power of, or what's really going on in the world in terms of currencies and things like that. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna read the whole article. Got Zimbabwe ditches American dollar and shifts to gold. More African nations to follow suit. So we're gonna scroll down, and it says, 1 second. Let me see if the stream is following, and then we're gonna get into it. All right, but it says Zimbabwe has experienced hyperinflation since 2007. Annual inflation rate of Zimbabwe jumped to 192% in June. That's crazy, bro. I think here in the US they say we only got an 8% inflation rate, but I've been seeing a lot of other economists say it's really like up to 15 to 20 in real numbers. 8% and 7% is just like the number that they've been telling us, which is still a 40-year high. It says annual inflation rate of Zimbabwe jumped to 192% in June, the highest level in over a year, as food costs more than tripled. The Zimbabwe dollar, Africa's worst performing currency this year after losing more than two-thirds of its value against the US dollar, has sharply depreciated. And I believe they stopped, like, as their main legal tender, like main currency of use, they stopped using the Zimbabwe dollar in 2009 and like made the US dollar their main like legal tender currency type of thing. And it says, you see, Zimbabwe is in the midst of an economic crisis marked by high inflation, a swift depreciation of the local currency, 90% unemployment, 90% of people unemployed. I'm sure there's more factors to go in that goes into that in Zimbabwe. Plus, a lot of Africa is young too, so this is a lot of young people unemployed. And this is just talking about just Zimbabwe, of course, not just the whole Africa, but Africa has a large population of younger people. And it says, and following manufacturing production. And now Zimbabwe is using gold to hedge against inflation and hence reducing its dependence on the US dollars domestically. Mm. It says, but the real question is, why is the Zimbabwean government turning to gold for domestic trading? Zimbabwean traders are already vying for a limited supply of US dollars that companies must acquire to continue offering specific goods and services. Thus, the government is striving to wean the domestic economy off of its dependency on the US dollar so that the import of the foreign necessities can be paid for by the greenback, therefore facilitating an unhindered foreign trade. Basically, they trying to get off of the US dollar, um, because it says limited supply for US dollars that companies must acquire to continue offering specific goods. Basically, they like, man, this is not sustainable for us, man. We need some, you know what I'm saying, some gold. It says, make no mistake, the government has pegged its currency to gold for this precise reason. Nevertheless, gold is frequently regarded as an inflation hedge among many asset classes. It essentially indicates that over the long run, gold has been able to produce inflation beating returns. The government has therefore proposed the notion of adopting gold as a medium of exchange. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's Monetary Policy Committee, the MPC, resolved to introduce gold coins into the market as an instrument that will enable investors to store value, which in the asset class world, gold is a storage of value over the course of history. Forever on a planet, gold has held its value more than a lot of things in the world. Um, the gold coins will be minted by Fidelity Refineries, private limited, and will be sold to the public through normal banking channels. The committee noted that the increase in inflation was undermining consumer demand and confidence, and that if not controlled, it would reverse the significant economic gains achieved over the past 2 years. The move has been well appreciated by the investors in the country, but Batanai Matsika, the head of research for stockbroking firm Morgan and Company, said that the gold coin was a welcome development in a market starved for investment options and will help investors hedge against inflation. Regarding the coin acting as a store of value, it's a good step given to the Zimbabwean dollar's value was being eroded. Well, let me read that again. Regarding the coin acting as a store of value, it's a good step given that the Zimbabwean dollar's value was being eroded. So I'm guessing they're pegging the Zimbabwean dollar to gold regarding the coin acting as a people will let me see. People were going after U.S. dollar as a store of value. My Handi told Al Jazeera it is going to ease pressures on the U.S. dollar, but demand for the U.S. dollar will still be there, said one of the investors. Um, well, many other African countries will eventually follow a similar path, reducing their reliance on the U.S. currency. For instance, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Angola are all adjusted to inflation rates of 245%, 35%, and 24% respectively, and can relieve their economies by pegging their currencies to gold and thereby hedging inflation. Perhaps the era of dollar dominance in Africa would soon be decimated. Dang. So they saying in Africa, they like, nah, we looking to get rid of the US dollar because it's hurting us in essence, and we could just pay gold, which is under our feet, to um our currency, like the Zimbabwean dollar. So I'm guessing that means they're gonna bring up the Zimbabwean dollar again. Let's see some comments from some of these people. This is Colin Chosa. Given the current state of things, even gold will be eroded because this lack of production in industries. How does the government plan to keep the gold in the country? Zimbabwe relies on imports of all basics. Soon it will run out of gold through imports. In my view, foreign investors will benefit more than Zimbabwe. How much is Zimbabwe exporting? How much is Zimbabwe producing? It says that is a very good point. How is this going to be paid for? When the US tanks, and it will, the whole world will tank with it. The Great Reset is behind all this movement, and the wheels began turning in September 2008. By September 2019, the revs were well into the red zone. That's why COVID was issued to fleece public reserves of their last cents. If a dollar in 1930 is only worth 5 cents today, I think the answer is before you. I think this dude posed some pretty good questions, which I'm actually finna look up here. Um, Zimbabwe relied. He said, "How does the government plan to keep the gold in the country?" And then he asked two main questions: How much is Zimbabwe exporting, and how much is Zimbabwe producing? I'm gonna look that up. How much is does Zimbabwe produce? Um, let's see. Um, overview. This says in 2020, Zimbabwe was the number 115 economy in the world in terms of GDP. The number 116 in total exports and number 131 in imports. The number 166 economy in terms of GDP per capita, and the number 98 most complex economy according to Economic Complexity Index. Exports The top exports of Zimbabwe are gold, including gold plated with platinum, unwrought or in semi manufactured forms, tobacco, unmanufactured, and tobacco refuse. Okay. Nickel ores and concentrates, diamonds, whether or not worked but not melted or set, and ferro alloys, exporting mostly to the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, blah 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 blah. Okay, so they export gold already, um, and they're making about $2.14 billion exporting gold already, and now they moving it into, or now they're looking to use it as, or pegging it to the Zimbabwean dollar. Top imports of Zimbabwe are petroleum oils and oils from bituminous minerals, not crude. Preparations containing maize, corn. I'm gonna just say it. They saying too much in between. Maize, corn, electricity, vehicles for the transport of goods, medicaments, not goods of heading. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know how to correlate that to what this guy's question is. How much is Zimbabwe producing? That's a good question too. But that's what I typed in. Okay, let's go here. Uh, 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 and let me switch the type of sharing screen. 1 second. 1 second. Video file. Entire screen. All right. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. All right. So it says, uh, in addition to food production, principal products include tobacco, cotton, and wool. Zimbabwe's arable land surface is relatively small compared to major food producers in Africa, but its agriculture was rather well performing from 1961 to 2001. Up to 10% of African maize production in 1985. Zimbabwe, oh wait, I just read that. There are five natural regions that make up the agriculture of Zimbabwe. The first three regions are used for producing crops. Most maize and staple food was produced by small scale communal farms, while larger commercial farms focused on cash crops like tobacco, paprika, fruits, flowers, and beef exports, currencies, providing much needed foreign currencies for imports. Zimbabweans face different challenges in agricultural activities, and these challenges include lack of resources to buy inputs and equipment, poor rains in some areas, poor road networks to transport their produce, and lack of participation in policies to support their activities. Government entities must support these agricultural activities by providing seeds, it says fertilizes, or I think that means fertilizers, by providing seeds, fertilizers, and finance to buy other implements. They can also provide agricultural equipment that can hire for a subsidized cost. Okay. But basically, from this article, Zimbabwe is like, hey, we losing too much bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we losing too much, or not losing too much bread, but this inflation number right here is too high for us. Like, One, we already done got off of our own Zimbabwean dollar, which was like it say here now. Where does it say? Uh, Africa's worst performing currency, which is the Zimbabwean dollar. Um, Africa's worst performing currency this year, after losing more than two-thirds of its value against the dollar, has sharply depreciated, driving up prices. They like, hey, our currency has already depreciated more than two-thirds against the U.S. dollar, and if the U.S. dollar not even helping us out, even like in inflation and stuff like that, shoot, the U.S. is experiencing bad inflation. And right now, the value of the US dollar is up. Like if we go and look at the DXY, which is basically the strength of the US dollar, it's up right now. So if you got people who are experiencing high inflation already, and then they're trying to use the US dollar, and then the value of the US dollar is so high, making it limited, or it says vying for a limited supply of US dollars. Now the companies can't even really get US dollars. One, because it's so expensive, and they can't even get the US dollars with a Zimbabwean dollars at a good price. So they like, hey, bro, we gotta do something about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we gonna have to peg our currency to gold. You know what I'm saying? So we could hedge against this 192% inflation that we going through. And then these other countries like come down here like Ethiopia, Angola, and Sudan. They like, hey, we got 245% inflation. We got 35% inflation. We got 24%. And the US got 8, but the number is really 15 to 20. Hey, bro, we got to get, you know what I'm saying? We got to get us some gold and peg our stuff to gold, so we just don't fall out of the race. I do want to watch this video. I ain't gonna lie. I've been passing this video up. Um, it says Zimbabwe gives China a rude shock, like, and it was put together with this article. Depending on how long it is, I'm gonna play it. 5 minutes. I'll do that.
Toxic ideology to other parts of the world. Its latest is
Let's replay it.
China is an authoritarian regime that loves to spread its toxic ideology to other parts of the world. Its latest is Zimbabwe in the African continent. In order to rule the African nation, China is accused of having facilitated a military coup that took place many days after the Zimbabwe military chief went to Beijing on a surprise visit. In order to help
Dang,
prop
that's
up the
tough.
regime in Zimbabwe, China built the National Defense College and also funded the building of a 650-seater parliament house in Harare. It is also looking to export artificial intelligence technology to the country in order to gain access to complete data on Zimbabwean military personnel, citizens, and government officials. This is part of China's strategy to secure its investments and predatory loans worth billions of dollars in Zimbabwe. However, the people of Zimbabwe are now pushing back against Chinese hegemony. This might as well dash China's hopes of ruling Zimbabwe forever. Hi and welcome. This is CFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI newspaper.
This
I'm your
article
host,
is also
Anil,
brought to you by
and
TFI
in this
Global.
video,
Shout out to him.
I will tell you how China tried to plunge
I don't know him, but
Zimbabwe
shout out to you for making this article.
standing up to Chinese atrocities and belligerence in the African nation. Let's begin. Xi Jinping's expansionist Chinese empire is in big trouble, not because some governments have started pushing it back, but because people across different parts of the world have started resisting China's unpardonable atrocities. Take the case of Zimbabwe, for instance. China is alleged to have orchestrated a military coup in Zimbabwe in order to consolidate its influence in the African nation. Yet, China's dreams to control Zimbabwe forever seem to have been shattered. Make no mistake. Zimbabwe is a resource rich nation. China wanted to loot Zimbabwe through a web of consistent loan defaults. With the installment of an allegedly collusive military regime, Beijing also started exploiting the people of the African nation and the Zimbabwean labor class with sheer impunity. However, growing anti-Chinese sentiment in Zimbabwe seems to be getting the better of Beijing now. As per ET, there have been several cases of rampant abuse of Zimbabwe's local laborers by Chinese employers in the country. However,
Hmm.
the Chinese government the Zimbabwean government has by and large remained a mute spectator. Matters have gone as far as local employees being shot dead by a Chinese employer after the laborers demanded their legitimate pending wages. It is not uncommon for Chinese company owners in Zimbabwe to totally.
That's why it's freaking unemployment. You got all of these Chinese uh job providers, and they ain't even, you know what I'm saying, giving the Zimbabweans what they rightfully deserve in terms of wages. Like 90% of them is out of it because stuff like that. Like you get shot by your employer for some. That's why the
Because the
90%
law demands it
unemployment
aim to
rate is
protect
there.
citizens' legal rights and discriminate openly between on-site Chinese miners and local employees. In fact, Zimbabwean laborers are effectively treated as slaves. They are made to work at a meager salary of 35 US dollars per month in dangerous, inhuman,
Hey, China, stop playing, bro. Y'all trying to go down the same road as America. I know y'all got a whole lot of land ownership all over the world, but like, come on, bro. Don't be treating black folk like slaves, bro. Or God gonna be at your neck too, man. Come on, bro. Y'all can do it different. Y'all got a chance, but this not
and
it.
harsh conditions. The residential facilities for Zimbabwean laborers too are inhumane. In a Chinese company's accommodation, as many as 16 local laborers are stuck in one room, regardless of the Wuhan virus outbreak. All this
What?
happens under the watch of the military regime in power in the African nation that came to power shortly after Zimbabwean military chief's sudden visit to Beijing. However, the people of Zimbabwe aren't ready to let China take control of their country. An organization called the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Union, or ZCTU, has been protesting against the Chinese assaults. Chinese diplomats did try to persuade ZCTU towards a friendly solution, but the Zimbabwean organization simply refused to budge. In fact, ZCTU has been warned of dire consequences for highlighting issues that affect Chinese interests in Zimbabwe. The rights organization has brought some cases to the notice of the Zimbabwean government in which Chinese employers conceal the deaths of local employees in order to avoid paying compensation to their families. In order to pile pressure on the Zimbabwean government and the Chinese employers, ZCTU is threatening of intensifying its activism to the international level regarding workers' rights and dignity. It wants to strong arm the pro China government in Zimbabwe into ending systematic abuses of local workers by the Chinese companies. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe is witnessing a social media campaign against Chinese excesses. ZCTU Secretary General Zafe Mayo is the one who launched the social media campaign highlighting systematic abuses by Chinese interests in the country. Resentment against China is growing within Zimbabwe, and allegations against the Chinese employers are reportedly backed by shreds of evidence of torture and inhuman treatment. The issue is now being taken up by some courageous leaders in the African nation. A traditional leader in Zimbabwe's Mashonaland Central Province, Chief Chiweshe, has accused Chinese interests of looting vast mineral resources of the country, like chrome and gold. Zimbabwe is also resisting China's tendency to dump inferior and outdated technology to poorer countries. China's biggest bank, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, sanctioned a $3 billion loan to finance a coal-fired power plant in the African nation. However, the project got halted after protests by environmentalist groups like Go Clean ICDC. Environmental groups have exposed the climate risks and costs associated with the Chinese-funded coal power project, and therefore the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China has been compelled to carry out a feasibility study of the controversial project, which was slated to be constructed by China Yehuba Group, and the associated transmission lines were to be led by Power Construction of China Limited. The people of Zimbabwe understand how Chinese debt trap strategy works. They also see collusion between the military regime that has assumed power in Zimbabwe and the Chinese Communist Party. While China was planning to rule forever, it seems that stiff resistance by Zimbabweans will keep China at bay and shatter its expansive hopes.
Mm. So what's crazy about that too is one, hey China, y'all tweaked out, y'all tripping, bro, because y'all sitting over here trying to not trying to y'all enslaving people for very low wages, and then you extracting their gold and all of their other mineral resources, and yeah, like you getting gold up out of their ground, and you paying very little. You know what I'm saying? Like this is why I feel like the African nations should should do and should have done like what Muammar Gaddafi was looking to do, which was create united states of Africa, and everybody and the whole currency in Africa just being gold, which these countries, oh my goodness, I didn't mean to do that. Which these countries is following suit by pegging their currencies to gold right now. So I see this as being a good direction in terms of these African nations being completely towards a system of being self dependent. Because if you pegging your currency to gold and you can go up and strike gold in these mines and things like that for yourself and not have it be like these Chinese mining companies paying your people very low wages, I think y'all moving in the right direction. But also in terms of getting the inflation off, this is big news, especially for Zimbabwe and Sudan and Ethiopia. Uh, so yeah, also I got this chart up. The price of gold per ounce is around $1,700, and silver is around $19 per ounce. So hey man, this is a good economic move for the Zimbabweans, the Ethiopians, the Angolans, and the Sudanese people. So I think that's gonna be it for this stream. It kind of went a little over than what I wanted it to be, but yeah, man. All over the world, we even China and Russia is even accumulating gold to get away from the sanctions of the U.S. They like, oh, you gonna sanction us? All right, we're gonna use gold. All right, we're gonna use other means of transferring value or currency and things like that around all this. Like we're trying to separate from y'all anyway. So they are getting onto the gold standard, back on the gold standard, because the United States government in 1975 under 1974, or no, 71 under Richard Nixon, took gold off of the or took the dollar off of the gold standard. Now the dollar is just free running off of the trust of the government and government military backing and things like that, and debt and money printing and stuff like that. So hey, it's a good move in terms of becoming more independent as a country. So I think that's gonna be it. Smooth little 30-minute stream. Yeah, man, make sure y'all get y'all some gold, some precious metals, so y'all can be outside of this dollar system whenever it fully crashes and plummets. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that in 1971, as soon as they took the dollar off of the gold standard, he said we're experiencing 100%. He said that in the 70s that we were experiencing 100% inflation back then. So imagine what it really. We probably at like, you see the Zimbabweans at 192% really, but now they bringing out these fake numbers with the 8% inflation. Like nah. It's way more than that. But yeah, make sure y'all follow me on all social media platforms. The link will be in the description to all my links, everything. Um, so yeah, make sure y'all have a blessed, peaceful, nice Saturday, and I'll catch y'all later. I'll catch y'all when I catch y'all. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all, and I'm gone.